Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, if I asked you to picture, the fiercest predator out there, you might think lion, maybe tiger, shark.
Pretty standard answers, yeah. Big teeth, big claws.
Exactly. But today, we're diving into the story of a group that seems, well, maybe smaller now. We're talking weasels, otters, wolverines, the mustelids.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources we've unpacked tell this incredible story. Their ancestors, they weren't just tough, they were genuine giants, rivaling
It's
lions.
an amazing lineage. Mustelids are actually the largest family within the whole order, Carnivora, and they are just masters of survival, found everywhere except Antarctica,
It's a
basically.
little adaptable.
Incredibly. Different habitats, diets, body shapes, you name it. They may look kind of small and sleek today, but that ferocity, that's ancient.
Right, so our mission here is to trace that history, specifically this period where they went through this phase of gigantism. It's hard to even picture a puma-sized weasel or a lion-sized otter.
But they were real. Verifiable mega predators. Hypercarnivores walking the earth millions of years ago. Their roots go way back into the Oligocene epoch.
Tens of millions of years.
Yeah. And the fossil record shows that these traits, the fierceness, the bone-crushing power, the adaptability, they weren't new developments. They were fundamental. These weren't just competing with big cats back then. In many cases, they were the apex predators.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where did this journey into gigantism really kick off? What was the turning point?
Well, to get that, we need to go back about 31 million years. This was a really critical time for the wider musteloid group that's the superfamily. It was a classic example of adaptive radiation.
Meaning lots of new species evolving from one common ancestor,
Yes.
playing different roles.
Exactly, a burst of diversification. And it's key to remember, like you said, this wasn't just the direct line to weasels and otters. It spawned a surprising range of animals.
Oh yeah, like what?
So the musteloid group split into four main branches that survive today. You have Mustelidae, that's our focus, the weasels, badgers, otters. Then Mephididae, the skunks.
Skunks, okay, didn't see that coming.
Uh-huh. Then Aluridae, which today only includes the red panda.
Wow.
And Procyon, think raccoons, coatis, that kind of group. All of them trace back to this one explosive period driven by huge environmental changes.
So what happened? What was the big catalyst?
The sources point to a massive global event around 33 million years ago. Antarctica was drifting south, separating from South America and Australia.
Right, changing ocean currents.
Precisely. And that triggered this big global cooling. CO2 levels in the atmosphere dropped significantly.
And that changed the plant life.
Dramatically. The world shifted away from dense, lush forests towards more open environments. We're talking vast grasslands spreading across the continents during the early Oligocene.
Less forest, more open space. Sounds like a tough transition.
It was brutal for many. About 60% of all land mammals went extinct. It was a huge die-off. But, crisis creates opportunity.
New niches opening up.
Exactly. These new grasslands created two big opportunities. One for large grazing animals, the ungulates, and predators big enough to hunt them. And another really important one for our story. Smaller animals, like rodents, could thrive in the tall grass and burrow underground.
Ah, okay, so that's where the mustelid ancestors found their opening.
That's the idea. The ancestor that really took advantage was a creature called paleogale. It was small, maybe about a kilogram, sort of cat-like in build.
About the size of a house cat, then?
Pretty much. And it was perfectly suited to hunt those smaller burrowing animals in the new grasslands. Its success proved that this body plan, low-slung, quick, adaptable, could work in this new world. It basically opened the evolutionary floodgates for the mustelids we see today.
Okay, so that climate shift sparks the diversification. But how long did it take to get from that 1 kilo paleogale to the giants you mentioned? That's the really wild part.
Well, the trend towards gigantism really seems to pick up about 10 million years later. It wasn't happening everywhere all at once, but where it did happen, it was pretty dramatic.
Let's start with maybe the smaller giants. I read about Enhydriodon galioids in the Mediterranean from the Pliocene. It weighed maybe 10 to 15 kilograms. That's like a decent-sized dog, maybe. Why call that a giant?
Yeah, 15 kilos doesn't sound enormous compared to, say, a bear, but size is all relative to your ancestors and relatives, right? Its closest living relative is the South American river otter, Lontra, which weighs only about 3 kilograms.
Ah, okay, so it was more than double the size, showing that trend.
Exactly. It points towards that evolutionary pressure for larger size within that lineage. But the really spectacular examples, the true heavyweights, they pop up in Africa and North America.
Right, let's go to Africa first. Ekorus, ekakeran. The sources paint a picture of something really different from modern mustelids. 60 centimeters at the shoulder? That's pretty tall.
Yeah, it was built differently. Most mustelids today are quite low to the ground, short, powerful legs for digging or quick bursts. Ekorus was an outlier. It had long legs, almost like a leopard's.
Leopard-like legs.
Hmm.
On a mustelid.
Uh-huh. And an upright stance. It suggests it was built more for stalking and running down prey over distance, more like a dog or a hyena than for ambush or burrowing. Kind of like the cheetah of the mustelid world back then.
So it was a pursuit predator. What does that tell us about its environment? Why it evolved that way?
Well, one compelling theory is that prey might have been incredibly abundant during that specific time and place. So much food around that predators didn't need extreme specialization.
Meaning?
Meaning Ekorus didn't need to be the absolute fastest runner like a cheetah or have the ultimate grappling power of a big cat. It could be a successful generalist hunter. It could run prey down sufficiently well and deliver that powerful mustelid bite. It sort of found a middle ground, maybe between the cat style of pounce and grapple and the dog style of chase and kill.
Interesting. A versatile killer for a rich environment. Okay, what about Europe? You mentioned Ilmalivara pivotoi from Spain, related to the honey badger.
A distant relative, yes. And if you think honey badgers are tough now and they are legendary for it, imagine this ancestor. We have quite complete fossils, which is great.
And what do they show?
They show it was significantly larger than today's wolverine, which is our current heavyweight land mustelid, and even more hypercarnivorous. Its diet was likely over 70% meat. A truly formidable predator.
Okay, these are already serious predators.
Yeah.
But North America, around 20 million years ago, that's where we find Megalictus ferox.
Yeah.
This sounds like something else entirely. Ferret-shaped, but jaguar-sized, up to 100 kilograms.
Yeah, Megalictus is just staggering to think about. Imagine that classic, low-slung, powerful weasel or ferret body plan that scaled up to the mass of a jaguar. It combines that relentless mustelid ferocity with sheer size and power.
Not just a big weasel, then. A genuine mega-predator.
Absolutely, and its skull tells the story, too. It was huge as long as a jaguar skull, but as wide as a black bear's. That suggests incredible jaw muscle attachment.
And it was a bone crusher, like modern wolverines. But how did its teeth compare to other bone crushers, like hyenas? Were they similar?
Similar function, but different specialization. Hyenas often use blunt force with robust premolars. Megalictus had this really interesting adaptation with its third upper molar. It was turned inwards, kind of rotated.
Turned inwards. How did that help?
It essentially created a more effective vice grip. When it bit down, that rotated molar helped it lock onto bone and apply crushing force more efficiently than just flat teeth would. It allowed it to process carcasses incredibly thoroughly, maybe even crunching frozen meat and bones in colder periods. Maximum energy extraction.
Built for efficiency, built for power. Just incredible. But even Megalictus wasn't the biggest. The record was broken just recently.
That's right. Discovery announced in 2022 from Ethiopia. Enhydriodon ensis. This one really changes the scale.
Okay, how big are we talking?
Over 200 kilograms.
200. That's the size of a modern African lion.
Exactly. A lion-sized otter, living around 3 million years ago.
A lion-sized otter. Was it mostly aquatic then, or?
That's what's fascinating. It was an otter, definitely related to them. But studies on its tooth enamel, the isotopes, suggest it had a really mixed diet. It ate both terrestrial and aquatic prey.
So it wasn't just fishing.
No. It seems it was a powerful, robust, generalist predator. Its teeth were strong, capable of crushing hard shells like mollusks, but also suited for breaking bones. It could exploit resources from rivers, lakes, and the surrounding land. A truly massive, versatile killer.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from a 1-kilo ancestor to a 200-kilo lion-sized otter, an incredible rise fueled initially by climate change creating grasslands. So why did these giants disappear? What happened to Enhydriodon and the others? They vanished around the Pleistocene transition, right? About 3 million years ago.
Yeah, that seems to be the time frame. And the sources suggest it wasn't just one thing, but maybe a kind of double whammy, a perfect storm of pressures.
Okay, what was the first pressure?
Climate again, ironically. The pendulum swung back. The relatively stable, warmer Pliocene climate started shifting towards the much more volatile Pleistocene, the Ice Ages. Glacial cycles, rapid temperature swings. This would have seriously disrupted habitats and the prey base these large specialized predators relied on.
So the environment became unstable, harder to predict, harder to survive in for such large animals.
Exactly. Large body size is great when resources are plentiful, but it's metabolically expensive when things get tough. And then came the second part of the squeeze.
Which was?
Competition. specifically the rise and spread of our own ancestors. Early hominids, like Australopithecus and later Homo species, were becoming increasingly sophisticated tool users and cooperative hunters or scavengers.
Ah, so we entered the picture as direct competitors.
It seems likely these giant mustelids were top predators, dangerous, yes, but they were suddenly competing for the same resources, large carcasses, hunting grounds with these increasingly intelligent, adaptable hominids. It might have just tipped the balance against them.
So the adaptability and maybe the social intelligence of early humans proved too much for these megapredators, especially when combined with climate instability.
It's a compelling narrative, isn't it? If you look at the big picture, climate change creates the grasslands, sparking diversification and gigantism. Then, later, more drastic climate change weakens them, and competition, potentially from early humans, delivers the final blow. Evolution gives, and evolution takes away.
It's just an astonishing story.
Yeah.
To trace this family from tiny paleogale all the way up to these 200-kilo, bone-crushing, lion-sized otters, it's mind-blowing. And you see echoes of that past in today's mustelids, right? That ferocity is still there.
Absolutely. And knowing that evolutionary history, knowing that the potential for lion-sized power existed in this lineage, it definitely gives you a new respect for the modern wolverine or even a feisty weasel. That killer instinct runs deep.
And maybe that's the final thought for you, our listener. We know today's wolverines are incredibly tough. Now, try and transport yourself back, say, 3 million years. Imagine being one of our early hominid ancestors. You're figuring out tools, maybe fire, learning to cooperate, and you're sharing that landscape, competing for survival with hypercarnivorous predators that have the size and the raw power of a modern lion, but maybe even more ferocity packed into that frame.
What skills, what social bonds, what sheer ingenuity would you need just to stay alive day to day in a world with mega predators like Enhydriodon or Megalictus roaming around? It really puts the challenges faced by early humans into a stark perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. We hope this deep dive gave you a completely new view of these often underestimated hunters and their truly giant past.